Bet. We are motherfucking live, I think. But we're either live now or we're going live in a second. On here it says we're live, but I don't know if it's got to say on YouTube first for me to like believe it. And there's a way to just go into that through here if I can find it, but I'm retarded. I'm not retarded. I can't use that word. I'm gonna get canceled. View your live stream in a web browser. I think that's the button. Because this never fucking loads correctly. Fucking I can still say. That is still okay. Maybe. I don't know. If I live stream on YouTube, can I say that and if I get demonetized? I really don't know. There's a way to just go into that. Okay, I'm definitely live because I just but I'm retarded. Fucking link. I'm not retarded. I can't use that word. I'm gonna get canceled. View your live stream in a web browser. I think that's the button. Yeah. So because live. Cool. Don't give a fuck anymore. Now we can get into the stream. What's going on, y'all? 3 p.m. stream. I don't know. That's kind of the time that I'm probably gonna gravitate towards every day. Is 3 p.m. I'm gonna come on here and stream, show mixing tips, mastering shit, vocal mixing shit, the way I make loops, the way I make melodies, what scales I use, which ones I go to, what VSTs I use, which ones are like cheap, and also not cheap, the ones that I go to a lot for melodies and shit, you know, the Omnisphere or whatever. Those are the main, like, everybody knows that shit, right? But what I want to show off is kind of the hidden gems, at least what I feel like are the hidden gems for my very little amount of expertise and experience. I haven't been at this shit for that long. But we want to get right into it. I'll go ahead and do this little free plugin kind of list that I did like a fucking rehearsal stream the other day because the live stream would not work. So I was like, all right, I'll just use this as a rehearsal. So I just went live in Discord and no one was there. And I just talked to myself and it was really lonely and sad, but it was joking. But these are some of like legacy plugins from Audio Damage. A lot of these I've used and still use every day in production and just random shit. Like for random reasons. I mean, I don't, necessarily go back to all of these or make sure to go back to all of these in every beat or mix or whatever. But whenever I'm looking for kind of like an added, like if I need a compressor or a gate or like something like maybe a different type of reverb that different from the one that I go to a lot, or maybe like the master or a couple of the melodies need a little bit more like compression or distortion, and I don't know where else to get that. I'll go here for these because these are like. They're free not because they're just like demo versions or shitty versions of the plugins, but they're legacy, meaning like there's just newer versions now of all of these, and these are just like leftover versions. They're like, hey, we're gonna put these on the website. You guys can have them free. The most popular one is definitely this one, and it's to me been the most useful. I use it on the mastering. It needs a little bit more compression. You kind of bring everything together, kind of make it a little bit gluier. Glue everything together a little bit more. I use this, not in everything, but like again, just kind of when I feel like I can't really go back to anything else, and I want something, to make everything kind of meld together. The big gems on this that I like that I've downloaded and like to use are, if I can find it, where's Adverb? Is Adverb on here? I know Adverb's on here somewhere. Did I miss it? It's right here. It's alphabetical order. I'm stupid. But Adverb's really good. Unfortunately, I'm using the demo version, or the beta version of the new FL Studio right now, and it won't load in the beta version of the new FL for some reason. But when I was using my regular FL, I used Adverb quite a bit, and it's a different type of reverb. It's got, I think, 25 or 30 presets or something like that, maybe even more. But I liked it a lot. I feel like FL is a pretty good stock reverb anyway. But if you're looking for like a free reverb that is nice and is not like just the same as the stock that FL has, it's like I think it's great. Not vintage reverb. Sorry, there's another reverb somewhere. There's also I think it's maybe Rad Shack reverb that I'm thinking about. It's actually classified as delay, but it has like reverb presets too. I like this one a lot. Phaser's good. Auto Painter I don't use a whole lot anymore because I got Pancake. Combinat, I don't know how, I think that's how you pronounce it, Combinat, is very nice. I used to use it a whole lot when I still use like a Fruity Slicer for samples and shit. My mouth is fucking hella dry. There we go. When I still used like a lot of samples and Fruity Slicer and shit, this multiband distortion was really nice for like bringing out like kind of some saturation, like some of the higher frequencies in those. Axon is hella good for, it's like a little drum machine. It's kind of like the thing you type you program your drums into in the FL, the little I forget the name of it, but you guys know what I'm talking about, the freaking thing you click the sounds into the soundbar. It's like that, but just it's for drums and it has its own drum sounds. I've used it quite a bit. It's another one that I like a lot. It's got different drum sounds that you just wouldn't be able to really find. You wouldn't go and download them. You couldn't go and like make a drum sound necessarily and and mix it. You maybe could, but it'd take a while. It's got a lot of like unique analog drum sounds that I haven't used a whole lot in a while, but again I've used it quite a bit. So that's kind of, I'll leave this, I'll put this link probably in the description. I probably will go ahead and do that. This is pretty well known. These are all free. You got every one of these. You can go read up on each one of them. You can click on them, and it'll take you to a little page. And never mind, it just lets you download it. But there's a fucking page on here that will let you go and read about each one of these if you really wanted to. And there are newer versions. But moving on, some of the free plugins that aren't just on that list that I again go back to quite a bit. Ambience. You guys have probably seen producers on YouTube or on, wherever on Twitch where using ambience. I saw a lot of producers use it, and I was like, what the hell is that? I saw it was a reverb. So it was free, so I was like, well, yeah, I'll download it. And it's a ton of presets. It can make you sound like you're in a bunch of different types of rooms. There's like cathedral presets. There's drum room presets. There's like a snare room preset. There's like a shit ton of different types of just rooms that it can sound like that you're in, or just reverb in general, really deep wet reverb, or just really close up. You can get the drier stuff too, but it's to me it's better for like making it sound like a melody's in the background or in a big room. Or I do use it also as like an accent kind of because I think a lot of presets on it are good for that as well, and it's great as a secondary to the stock FL reverb. It's another plugin that won't load on the beta version of 20.99 for whatever reason. I've tried everything. I can't get it to load. Everything else loads fine except for a few things that I can kind of live without. It's still kind of annoying. But Ambience is really I use it pretty much before I switched over and it didn't work. I used it pretty much in every beat in some way. It's probably my favorite reverb, and it's free. Like that is to me, Ambience is probably the top of the line hidden gem. One of them at least. And I don't know, other producers can debate that, or if they really it's not that great. This one, and fine, but it's worked great for me. Another couple that are really popular and that a couple more that I used to use, and then kind of got some more expensive and more in-depth, I guess, software that can do some more things. But these were nothing to like laugh at, nothing to just turn your head out, because these are great, especially just because they're free. And they're not like big programs. You might as well download them. They're not hard to use either. Magic Switch is kind of like a chorus. It's like an airy kind of chorus. It kind of adds a little bit of that Travis Scott like melody effect, I think. Meaning in my opinion. I've used the plugin again plenty of times. Same with Magic Dice. I'm a little bit less familiar with Magic Dice. It's another free one. It's similar to Magic Switch, but it has like a couple different presets. You click the die, it gives you a random effect. You can kind of hear what it does. Sometimes it's like some ping pong along with some reverb. It's honestly fun. If you ever feel like a melody's kind of missing something, missing a little bit of spice or whatever, you throw that on there. You hit it and you mix it to like 40%, and throw a couple of presets around on there and see how it sounds, and like it might be what you're looking for. Same kind of concept to me, at least I always use it the same way with Magic Switch. I'm pointing at the screen like y'all can fucking see me, but it's the same kind of concept I use with Magic Switch. Is just if you ever feel like a melody is like you need a chorus type effect, or like you're missing a little bit of something, a little bit air, but not exactly like reverb. You don't want to do some saturation and distort it too much, or whatever your thought process is. It's good to just kind of have in your back pocket. It's like, I'll throw this on there, and we'll see how it goes. Other than those two, Ambience, I know I had. I don't write this stuff down because I don't exactly prepare. It's not. It's just not something that I do. I'm just kidding. But I'm trying to think of the last one, or at least the last like 2 that are free that I have used a good amount. There's stock ones in FL too. Like I've talked about Free Slicer a lot. That's a great one for chopping samples. A stock plug. Those aren't really helpful if you're using Ableton or Logic Pro though. So I'm trying to think of there's free auto-tune ones that are also great. I haven't used a whole lot of these because I've always I bought auto-tune software kind of out the gate and had it ever since, which was not the smartest decision. But what am I doing? I can't talk and freaking. I'm sorry. I've had auto-tune VSTs for a while, so I don't really need to use the free stuff. But like I've heard great things and downloaded some of these just to kind of test them out, and they work very well for free ones, especially compared to Pitcher and FL Studio, man. Because FL like the Pitcher and I could never figure out. It never really was like the move for me in terms of like mixing, but it never made shit sound the way I wanted it to. It always sounded all robotic-y, and like I could never figure it out. FL's got some great compressors and stuff for mixing vocals, but Graylian is great. Those other 4 I hadn't fucking heard of. I thought this was a different article, but I know Graylian is one of them. Graylian 2, a nice just free auto-tune VST. Looks like this, like it's kind of this. It looks a lot like the Wave one if it was like grungy and cyberpunky. I don't know what this vibe they're going for really is, but it's a free edition, and then you can buy the full edition for $29. Like the free, I've seen a lot of people around locally that are like getting into producing that don't have maybe the money to go after some higher like priced auto-tune software, whatever. I've seen them using it, and they seem to be happy with it. And like from what I've heard, I mean, the vocals sound pretty nice too. Sound pretty clean. They're probably putting some other stuff on there. Probably know what they're doing with the EQ and the compression, and vocal mix and stuff and all that. But this one, I've heard good things about the free version. There's more than just that free auto-tune VSTs. There was a day where I was like, are there even ones that are even worth anything? And I downloaded like 4 of them from one article. And I'm trying to find the article. I think maybe it was this. No, it wasn't this. Because none of those are. And you can only get so good with free auto-tune, shit anyway. Obviously. But again, these are plugins that are good to have if they're free and not taking up a crazy amount of space. They're good to have in your back pocket. How do I auto-tune my voice for free? These poor motherfuckers out here. Which free plugin actually works? I don't know why I can't find the damn article anymore, man. Whatever. But there's plenty of, my point kind of with that part of the video or whatever is there's a lot of free plugins out there that are effective and can, you don't want to just lean on all of them for your main, production, what you go to mix, your melodies with and what you master stuff with or whatever. But they're good to have, if something's missing and you want to throw a little extra sauce on there or whatever. Problem is I can't stop fucking talking. So my mouth just gets dry really quickly. So I just fucking sit here and It's a cool loop. I don't know if I'm using loops today though. Could go into how I made could break down how I made. You know what? Yeah, let's do that first at least, because that won't take like that long. Let me break down how I made. What beat should I break down? What beat am I proud that I made? Let me hit the file open. Let's scroll here for a second. Beat am I really fun? Existential's cool. Actually, yeah, that'd be a cool one to walk people through. I think y'all would enjoy this one. I'm gonna check that. This is just me checking the stream real quick, making sure we're doing. Really fun. Existential's cool. Actually, yeah, that'd be a cool one to walk through. Bet. And this will take a second to load because my PC's not great. I mean, people are working with worse, definitely. I'm pretty lucky to have the setup I have, but we're in our final days. I think 2 years from now, if I even have this laptop, it'll be shot. It'll be about done in 2 years, whether I have it or not. Meaning, like, I want to get a new one, or if I could get into this thing and replace some of the components, that'd be cool. I could replace the CPU and shit, but I've heard that's really hard with Alienwares, and I have an Alienware. So we will have to see. You know, I'm actually probably going to play some background music too. Do I want it coming through? Nah. Probably just unplug that. That way it'll just play out of the speaker and y'all just hear it through the... Okay, let's just play beats. Because that way, yeah, because I'll get copyrighted. Haha, I can't play music. Y'all get to hear my shitty beats. I'm just kidding. They're not shitty, they're incredible. It's a joke, y'all. I'm proud of my shit, I promise. Self-hatred is very funny for me. What should we play first? This one's recent. Is it gonna play, or do I gotta turn the volume up? I would ask if y'all can hear that, but no one's here. That's a little loud. That's probably cool. This is still loading. It's been 3 years. It's been 6 years. Jesus Christ, man. I don't know how well y'all can hear that, but it's only really meant for background shit anyway. Is it finally loaded? I know I can't play it because if I play it out the gate, it'll self-destruct on me. So if it'll settle down up here, I'll feel okay to like move around and shit more, but it seems to not be freaking out anyway. So the way I started with this one was I found I was scrolling through Instagram, and I don't know why, but some of these like metalworking, like the CNC account, like would pop up every now and then in my Explorer, and the sounds were kind of like, you know, industrial and weird, and you know, it was just CNC's metal grinding on metal basically, and I would I'm not gonna go and find the sample because it'd take a second, but it's from I think Volky _CNC on Instagram if y'all want to go check him out. VOLKI_CNC. Pretty sure that's his handle. But I found the sample and I kind of like sped it up a little bit, and I think pitched it up a little bit as well and made it fit the BPM of what I was at. I was at 157 already, and I made the drums already. So yeah, that's right. This is the beginning of it, and I chopped it into, and it's popping because the audio is fucked from. It's because Streamlabs using the audio. So y'all probably hearing it pop. I gotta get an SSD so the shit runs better. And my sincere apologies for that, honestly, because I hate that it sounds like shit. But y'all will kind of get the idea.
And now, man, here's a word from our conductor.
I had the drums already.
You are way all over this one.
And that's automated. Stuff like, no, this is it's low. Like I turned it down a little bit here so that it would go better with the. I made like a unique one and turned it down and made it to where it went with kind of the melody for the rest of the beat. And if you if you do want to hear this like actually like in full, because it is a pretty fire beat, it is on Beatpromoters.com on my page, and it obviously sounds way better. There's no pop. Come and get it. Come and get it. Yeah, I'm not even gonna. Y'all can kind of hear the drums. If I turn the melody up, I wonder if that'll make it a little bit better here. Come and get it. Come and get it. These are the drums I have already. Let's do that effect then. And then this is not playing either for whatever reason. So I gotta, and that happens too. We got a real top of the line setup here, y'all. It's brilliant. Let me pull this up real quick. My Omnisphere has been glitching out for a while, and I haven't been able to fix it. But I have a workaround. It doesn't take long or whatever. So as soon as I go, find where it's at. It is right here. And y'all get to hear the sounds I used to. And I use, I think, this fat synth bass lead that I'm gonna type in here. I use a lot. It's hella nice for like rage beats and also just like electronic kind of sounding like synths. So that's 9. Did I mean 12 on this? No, I did. Oh, I was looking at the wrong beat. God damn. I'm off today. My bad. Jesus. So this is computer days. Yeah, this is also a hella nice lead. Where's... Come on. Oh, it's pulled up. Okay. Oh, it's because I'm spelling it wrong. I'm dumb. Jesus. The 9 is not fast and bass. Spelled that wrong too. Okay. That's the keys I needed. So now... that's the sample. You can kind of hear. Good lord, it just can't. It does not sound good at all, man. That's the key that I have. And then it's playing also with. You can hear what I'm going for. I know it sounds like complete dog shit because my CPU just can't handle Streamlabs and this running audio at the same time. But music's also kind of distracting me. But y'all heard, I mean, pretty much everything in the beat. I have this little middle part that's like an interlude. And it's that same sample, and it doesn't actually sound like that. It's just, yeah, CPU issues. I have an i5, and it's almost 7 years old now. Damn, it's about 7 years old. This laptop, meaning. So it is not liking that we're running Streamlabs with FL, I imagine. But that's how I made. I like this beat a lot. I like that I made it from a CNC sample, and like I had the drums already. I made the drums, and then I threw this in afterwards, and I also after that threw in the melody and then the computer days sound. And hella fucked with it. Hear a better version of it, please go to buybeats.com to hear like an actual, version of the beat. We're gonna get out of that. And I don't want to say no changes. Let's hopefully I didn't make any changes. Yes, sir. But what I can do is not have a project file open. Well, have a project file open, but not one from previous times, and show y'all what I used to mix, and not get a sound like that, to get an actual, good sounding mix, and what I do on the master for all my stuff, what plugins I use and whatnot. So when it comes to like mastering beats, I used to have a much more kind of in-depth way of going about it, where I don't anymore, because I think it's just kind of doing too much. This is like the preset that I would throw on my master, which is still, it's not a horrible idea. It's just not great for every beat. What I'm doing on this, like it works for a lot of, and you can tune it to where it works for a master, but it adds a little bit too much kick to everything. It's a little bit like too much compression. So I use a different method now, but this is kind of still breaking down like the same kind of steps. And I've seen I got this from I don't remember who it was on YouTube. I think it might have been Tri-Freeze. It was either Tri-Freeze or Bro Beats on YouTube. But you set the you set the ceiling, kind of where the peak is in the beat, and you can't see here because I don't have anything playing, but I'll go ahead and put a sample on so you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about. Yeah, something like that works. So you kind of want to, if this was the beat playing, it's not, but like you kind of want to put this ceiling here to where the peaks, like the very like right below where the top of the peak is, and all of these little kind of mountain looking sound waves. You want to put like, and this isn't the peak of where the sample would even be, but if it was, like if this was the peak of the beat, down here, I'm still pointing. You'd set it kind of like right under to where it cuts off a lot of those lower frequencies that are kind of popping through. That you kind of brings everything down to like keeping that 0 dB or a little bit lower, whatever you want to have it set at. And then you also want to turn the saturation off where it matches it, to where it kind of saturates to this. It kind of matches up with that green line right there. That way it calms down again those upper frequencies, those harsh frequencies that are kind of poking through, making stuff sound muddy, staticky, whatever word you want to use for it. Gain, you don't mess with gain at all in here. Also, you want to turn the attack, release, and sustain all the way down in the overhead side, just to way to the master. Also, there's a compressor on here. Threshold, set it about to add this to 18, anywhere from like, set it around 20, 21 maybe if you want to go that, 22. I had mine at 18. That is like the default, so that's where it felt like a pretty good, starting point was. 3 to 1, I keep the same a lot. It's just a nice ratio, taking out the decibels every time. 3 decibels of sound every time one sound wave was there. I forget the wording for it, but how that compression works, and then the gain up a little bit as well. The attack just needs to be lower than like 25 seconds or so. Release also just 200 is fine. Fresh air is just to kind of bring out some of the higher frequencies, some of the mid to high and high stuff. Add a little bit like sparkle, I guess, to the end of it, kind of bring those nice sounding, higher And then the final one is the limiter, which just kind of, this is mostly just gain. This I didn't mess with the ceiling at all or the saturation. I just turned the gain up until, well, once I would go in here, I'd turn the gain up until the master hit 0, right? Turn the gain up. Once it's been compressed, once everything's been, you can have it also EQ on here to kind of take some of the harsher frequencies away if you want that too. But once everything's kind of done, you want to just try to gain up to what it was, 0 dB, or a little bit before, whatever you want to set it out. Everything sounds good. That's all I do with this one. It's just saying, it's the same thing though with the ear attack. It's just saying you want to leave a little tiny bit on release. You can have like this try freeze or release on but it always made kind of a bass sound out of all my beats, meaning like it gave me kind of a nice like I felt like at the time more professional like mastering sound, like all my production kind of had a cohesive, more of a cohesive like sound because I had all this master stuff on it. And what I kind of learned is like it's all about just kind of one, how it sounded too. Like it's not about using all this stuff. It's really about like this getting the simplest way, like cutting down the harsher frequencies without adding all this every single time because you don't need it. You're not gonna need fresh air every single time on a master beat. Just one doing thing. It might even complicate things. Two like the 2 limiter method works well. But at least some beats kind of came out a little bit more distorted. They said I don't hear when I listen to them on my headphones and then post them on Instagram. What kind of sound distorted? I don't know why I kept talking with that playing. But what I'm saying is like I have a kind of a new way of mastering beats that I go about now. It's a little bit less in depth than all this, but it's a lot easier to understand, and to me it adds the same amount of cohesiveness just without doing all of like the extremely harsh and hard like compression limiting that the other way that I just showed was doing. And this is from Larry O as well. And this is just another method I've tried that I found that works well. It's the soft clipper. And soft clipper also is another one that I use quite a bit in regular production if you ever want something to kind of just chill out on, going to high in terms of frequencies, or, having like too much of the sound. Soft clipper is good to just kind of bring everything down and calm it down a little bit. But soft clipper at the bottom, fruity limiter, or soft clipper at second to the bottom, fruity limiter at the very bottom. And while you play the song, while you play your beat, you want to turn this like pretty much all the way down, and more sounds should be like playing. You know what? Actually, probably a better idea is if I just load up this exported beat. I don't know why I didn't just think of that before. What a cheat code. So, if we have cheat code on here, this is one of my beats. I'm sorry. You don't want to turn the post all the way down. That would be down. What you want to do is you want to turn the threshold all the way down. It cuts off just a lot of it. Makes the soft clipping, happen just at negative 28 dB, like way, it basically makes it to where there's a lot of soft clipping. It's a lot of bringing those, frequencies that are maybe a little bit too harsh. Maybe you're kind of poking through your mix a little bit. It's just bringing everything down, keeping everything compressed and cohesive and, a little bit more glued together without all the limiting and, having the actual compressor in there or whatever. You turn the threshold all the way down to about, just a level that sounds good. Right here, I think 24 sounds about right. Then you want to kind of mess with the post time while looking at the peaks over here as well. Make sure none of these peaks are too crazy. You don't want to have like, you see the way these are spaced out, or the way these are peaking is pretty decent right now. You just don't want to have ones that are way up here, right? Like you don't want to have ones that are way up here with like the rest of the bass down here. You want to have everything around the same level. You want to have around the same level. As you can see, this 72. And then, so doing that, and then this is also optional, just having like an EQ you throw on. To kind of take some of the harsher, like some of the stuff again is poking through that you don't want in. You can do this whole method where you scan. You try to find frequencies that are, real harsh. Maybe you want that out. I've already mastered this beat, and this is the X. Like I master all the beats in the project file when I make them. So this one probably sounds decent already, but if you wanted to take some of these, messier frequencies out, not to say that my maybe don't avoid the messy frequencies. My stuff's not perfect. Yeah, like you could, you don't even have to go and do all the sharp stuff like that. You can go and look for the hard things and take them out of the mix and get real surgical like that. Another great thing to do for mastering, obviously not high pass, low pass. Cut the whole mix at about 17 to 17.5, maybe to 18K. Cutting it below that gets a little tricky. 16K is a little like, you might have some of the, your hi-hats or whatever that are peeking through, that aren't getting that, they're just taking away from that, kind of spice the hi-hat range. So, I always cut my stuff around 17.5, 17,000 hertz, 17K, whatever you want to say. Again, to each his own, however you think the mix sounds, however you want it to. You can also tune down some of these lower end, again, get out some of these frequencies that are just gonna kind of muddy up the mix and not, really add too much. Just kind of be low frequencies that are messing with your bass or messing with your kick. I think 20 hertz is probably a good place to cut it. It doesn't really let you cut past that. So, I think the red there sounds pretty good. Let's cut 25. I guess I didn't even realize. That sounded pretty cool. I would think taking out this much would be a little bit much on the low end. But when I kept, kind of pushing a little bit here and then, it was sounding pretty good. It kind of cleans up that, I tend to not EQ on the master a whole lot. I tend to do a lot of just a soft clip and then I limit. And then if I do any EQ, it's mostly on the higher end, harsher stuff. I tend to not mess. I try not to mess with the low end, but it is something I've seen you can do, and that is done all the time. I've seen producers do it all the time. Clean up the. I've seen them go out here. I've seen some people that like to really cut, this low end. I always would think that cut the 808 out a little bit, but again, it sounded pretty good here. To each his own. So that's what I do to just to master beats. For as far as like melodies go, I kind of tend to mix depending on kind of how it sounds. I always tend to start with the same thing. So if I have, let's see, if I have a sample, if I can find, it's just a, let's use this Don Oliver kit because it's got some samples that I can't use because I'd get hella sued. But for demonstrational purposes, I like this one. So we had this, and it's to 1. Actually, my melodies, like, my drums are always 1 to 7 pretty much, or 1 to 8, so my melodies most of the time are the higher. It just feels more natural to have it there. You start with at least I start with an EQ. Sometimes I'll start out with like an effect on top. If I want like a nasty sounding effect, or like one that really kind of takes over the melody, it'll be on top. or if I want like you know, it to kind of fade into the background more, I'll put the fruity stereo shaper at the top, and I take it to that one preset that has the delay kind of ticked up a notch on the left, and turn it way down, turn the stereo up, and that kind of makes it, you know, in both speakers, it kind of fade to the background of the beat. That's something that that's what I would do to, you know, put an effect over, you know, over an EQ, over your. I also had another EQ to like kind of, you know, bring out the nice frequencies. If you're gonna add anything above that, like if you're gonna add an effect, that's fine. I tend to, if I'm going into a melody, like the first thing I'm gonna do is EQ. So we'll go here, and it's not using a whole lot of the slow. We'll cut that out. And just like this, so that we don't have to keep replaying it. So 11K, and not a whole lot's going on here. Something that like was obvious to me, or like wasn't obvious to me until it was shown me. I was like, you know, why am I bringing this up and checking to see what you want. Do you want more of this type of frequency, more of this sound? Do you want less of it? And then kind of like, well, if you want less, you turn it down a little bit. I don't turn it off frequencies up in the first EQ. I have an additive EQ that I'll use afterward. I'll turn it up with. But it's the same concept. Look up what do you want? What do you want me to be? What do you not? So I'm gonna turn this muddiness kind of down. Right there. And that's pretty. This is a little weird looking. I know, but not all of my EQs tend to look this way. But I mean, it's whatever you think needs to be out of, you know, the melody to kind of make room for everything else. Take it out a little bit. Don't chop, you know, whole blocks of frequencies out. That's never what you want to do. But you want to take out what you're not going to use in the melody, right? Afterwards, I do, again, the additive EQ. I look for kind of what I wanted in the frequency that I want in the mix. Infinite EQ is like my favorite ever. I love it. I feel like it's the most effective. I can see it the most. There's all these different bands you can do. It's just a little bit different. It's a little change of pace from the parametric EQ too. So I kind of like this like 2 to 5K range right here. It's kind of like, you know, crystally kind of sounding like higher, you know, mid to high frequencies. So I'm gonna turn this up a little bit. I'm gonna turn the band down, but I'm gonna boost this right above 2K. We'll say it's about 3.5 to 4K. It's gonna give that a little bit of a boost, a little bit of a touch. My mouse pad did replace, but gonna take out a little bit more of this muddiness down here, 2 to 300-400, because we just, you know, you want to make room for like, you know, piano. If you had, you know, a lower, you know, kind of synth bass or guitar frequency, you know, just taking up some, you know, room around here. You want this out of there. This is more stronger, you know, in the higher mid to high stuff. I like this range right here as well. So I'm gonna add, you know, just a little boost. You don't want to add. You don't want to do something crazy. At least I don't. I don't like to ever do anything drastic except take out, you know, crazy highs and crazy lows. You just won't use some fewer stuff. So just give that a little boost around there, and I'll take out this right here a little bit more, not all of it. But I'm gonna take out right between 5 and 1,000, you know, about 750 hertz. I'm gonna take out a little bit of that too, and I think that's about where I'm wanting it. So I like that. It adds a little bit of the brightness. It takes out a little bit of the muddiness, but it leaves, you know, the overall kind of vibe of the sample, which to me is like that's kind of my goal with any melody. You want to leave the good parts of the melody and take out what you don't need, right? Now on something like this, where it's kind of, you know, it's not crazy high, but a lot of the strength again is mid to highs. I would add a little bit of this fresh air. Now again, not a crazy amount. You're not gonna turn it up to, you know, whatever. And if you do, you're gonna turn the knob over here down. But I like to just set, you know, a little bit of a sparkle out here. At, you know, it says high sparkle. That's why I'm saying sparkle. Okay, chill. But you know, like we'll go 12%, and then the mid to high is kind of what is more strong, and we'll take that to more 15, maybe the 17 range. We'll go 18. Fuck it, we're feeling wild today. We'll go 18. Why not? And you might even turn this mix because that might even be a little bit much. I just don't like that pop up a lot. So I'm cutting the highs out of this because the more I tend to kind of cut some of these higher, I don't hear that much of a change in the melody. So I'm trying to get that pop that's kind of at the end of the sample out. I just EQ it out a little bit. I don't like that either, though. I don't like the way it's bending down there like that. Let's not do that. Let's actually just reset that. I kind of flipped around my EQ. I just want that pop out. Kind of takes it out a little bit more. I'll get it out as best I can. So I'm not gonna mess around with it anymore. It's just kind of bothering me, but you know, you get that. There's a billion ways you can get that, you know, kind of nasty sound there out. I'm trying my best to EQ it out. So, you know, take off all this. What's the button for the effects? Yeah, there it is. I see a little bit of stereo separation. So it just sounds like kind of, you know, a cleaner sample. It's easier to work with a little bit. At this point, I might add something like wider or, you know, maybe Fruity Stereo Shaper. Again, very small amounts. Like this is just to add a little bit more of the sound in both the listeners' headphones. You know, to kind of widen the sound out. It's not anything to do anything drastic. I would just, you know, kind of listen. That's not what you want to do. The way I'm hearing it is like 10% is about good. Yeah, just a little bit of that. And I'll even turn it down to like 8. more of that space. I also have MOTT. I have the Slate Digital, like the all access thing, whatever, for $10 a month. It's a pretty good deal in my opinion. I have a lot of these different ones I can use or whatever. MOTT's is pretty helpful for synths, keys, strings, nice distorted guitar effects as well. It's a little extreme on how much it compresses stuff. Sometimes it compresses in 3 different levels, which is cool, but it's a little extreme sometimes. So I like a lot of the time I will turn it down here, or I will just go in here. Like I'll leave this the same and just turn it down in here. But for this, I would add like a kind of something that would go nice with the samples, like a synth, kind of a mid-presence, kind of a sound. And then turn this down to like a mix of 15. That's kind of how it's all the way. That's a lot. That is a lot. So. Without width. Cool sample. And so that's, the way I go about mixing a lot of my melodies. If you wanted more of a glued together sound, you can throw a compressor on there. You can throw this presets from multiband that are nice, and you can kind of mess around with them. If you want to just throw a general purpose kind of compressor on there, you can kind of, it's 3 different bands. You can kind of mess around with it if you want. So if you really want to give this like some hard, like a lot of compression. That's really, doing a number on the mid. And it doesn't need that, but so I had a compressor. I won't add multiband. If I want something like that, I'll have Fruity compressor and then kind of turn the threshold down, the ratio, and maybe mess with the gain if it needs something like that. If the volume gets too taken away from the compression or something like that for some reason. And you want the attack quick most of the time too. But that's the main way I go about mixing melodies as well. The drums are 808s. And I keep these aren't just bass ones that I use for every single mix or whatever, but I keep presets here that I've saved. And this THU slave most time I take off because it's a lot of distortion that you don't exactly need. But this right here for an 808 is what I use mainly, for like a mix. So you jump on here, you go. Pick an 808, which one you like. Say this one. We go to 6, and I'll play it without any effects on it. And I'll show you kind of takes out just all the high end here. It gives a little bit of a boost to the low. Supercharger I like a lot. Preset I have on here is basic parallel compression. Just add a little bit of the original sound back into the compressed sound. Kind of make it sound a little bit cleaner, but also not change it a whole lot. And you can also mess with the wet and dry. I tend to make it a little bit on the dry side, a little bit less. Then you got your Fruity limiter. It's paused right now, obviously, because there's nothing playing. But this is normally a side chain with a kick. My kick's normally on 1. And you want the threshold. You want the kick to really duck the 808. You really want, you don't want them to clash when the kick hits. You really want the 808 to duck. You want to have a good kind of relationship with each other. You don't want them clashing, when they're playing together. But also, this is another thing that I do is I have also on my kick, and I'll just go ahead and pull that mix up too. But also on my kick, I will have a peak controller, and I'll set the the bass at about a little bit over half, and I'll mess with the tension on both sides a tiny bit. And then I'll set this I'll link this to the controller to that, and you guys have probably seen this before too, but you put control to the pink and then the peak, and then you inverted accept, and then that way every time the kick plays, this right here will duck hella and take all of, because this is mainly where my kicks hit is like the 100 to 200 range, or right around here. It's like where the kind of the main power of them tends to come from. So it'll duck that in the 808, so it's you're not getting clashing frequency. It's even better. So I do that in tandem with a sidechain. A lot. Sometimes I'll only do one or the other if I feel like it's too much. But that's like the real good kick 808 tandem. You get the sidechain right to get the peak controller thing. Whatever you want to do is to get all those frequencies out that you don't need, and just make both those things pop and sound good together in tandem. So that's what I mean. That's what I do for kicks and 808s. Like snares and claps and stuff and hats, it really isn't anything too fancy. Same with open hats. It's a lot of you EQ it, you throw some a little bit of reverb, maybe some saturation, or like an effect. Like I've thrown one of my favorite beats is Molly, called Molly Moon, and I put Portal on that, either the snare or the clap, and you can hear it in the pattern. It's like insane. But I don't do that very often, for obvious reasons. But it's a good, idea, or it's good to throw different things on your claps and your snares sometimes, and crazy effects. But most of what I do is done with reverb and EQ, and sometimes fresh air, for some spice in the frequencies, or some delay. Like that's most of the effects that I do on the claps with the snares or the open hats. Hats, I will throw some, absolute sauce on sometimes, like to make it, I like crazy sounding hat patterns. A good one to throw on hats, I'll just pull up my mix, but it doesn't have this yet. A good one to throw on hats is this Fruity Flanger, I think it's called? Fruity Phaser, that's what it is. And there's a bunch of different presets here you can kind of scroll through, and they do different things to the hats, and I'll kind of demonstrate here because these are already pulled up. So that's not a crazy one. We go deep fish, and it'll change. It'll go high, and it's kind of like a the LFO low pass filter or whatever triangle thing in Fruity Love Filter. And then there's other ones, like the one I like to use a lot was it was a weird one. Was it Wish Wash? No. But these all have these different little weird effects that kind of just make hats and high frequencies sound more sharp or more saturated, or give it a kind of a crazy little effect. Or it was called literally Weird Effect. This is what I'm talking about. I've used this before. I like this, kind of, and I'll turn it down on the mix sometimes. You kind of get that weird, wavy kind of effect. That's what I like to do, on hi-hats, for some sauce, and also fresh air. I have this turned up a lot, but the mix on is turned way down. I like to throw fresh air on the snare too a lot. I think it's loaded on the default, whatever I have on here. And then I'll also show y'all what I use for kind of risers and sound effects in my beats. Oh, that's one thing too. Pancake I use in pretty much every beat. It's great for auto panning. It's free. That's a free plugin I should have freaking mentioned earlier in the segment, earlier in the show, whatever you want to say. Pancake is a free plugin. Pancake 2 is a gem. Absolutely a diamond in the rough. It's a great panning plugin. It's got awesome, panning presets, and it's free. And I use it on pretty much all the effects, sound effects that I have, has some kind of a pan on them, and has Pancake. I also use it on hats sometimes to throw them back and forth. Same with open hats. I'll even throw it on the snare or the clap sometimes to really, it's really get a weird kind of effect. Soft clipper, just, because a lot of the effects I do have or I do put on there tend to have, you know, crazy harsh frequencies that need to just chill the fuck out. Sound goodizer I like for, you know, that, you know, more high-end compression, high-frequency compression with, I guess, kind of some saturation in there is really what sound goodizer does. It's decent for, you know, throwing a little bit of vocals too. Again, just add that kind of high, you know, mid to high-end kind of compression, gonna give it that little spark, give your vocals or melody a little bit of spark, and I like it on effects. Reverb, just for some, you know, I have both these turned all the way up, like just for, you know, some crazy, like sounds like you're in a really loud, echoey room. EQ, kind of master wise, you know, just I think I just did the preset and went to mastering and just cut it at 20k hertz and 18k or 18k hertz. Or I think I might have cut it a little bit lower than that. No, I don't think so. I don't know, but you get what I mean. And on top is Portal. It's never mixed all the way though. It's always on a different. It'll be on a different, you know, I'll throw it on a different preset, like in, maybe I'll use this Chaos one and throw it on one, and then I'll turn it down to no higher than like 12, most of the time like 10 or 9 though, and it just kind of gives it a little extra, you know, a little extra spice. I'm big on this extra spicing, if you can tell. But, and then also on 7, we'll go on the perk, and then it's really simple, just a quick, you know, and depending on which frequencies the perk takes up, I'll, you know, kind of mess with this and make the reverb nice. I'll pan most of my perks too. That's how I mix. I mean, you know, most of my melodies, most of the beats. It's not everything that I do. It's pretty much just kind of like, you know, the spark notes, the quick rundown of everything. Mastering wise, I didn't even do anything vocals wise yet, but that will come as well. Either tonight or later today, I'm not sure. But definitely at some point I'll do a vocal mixing one as well, where people can kind of refer back to these and see what I do for mixing vocals, mastering songs, not just beats, but also, you know, mixing, getting a good mix for a song. Maybe you're putting stems together, you know, mixing all those together, and then, you know, having a cohesive, you know, getting a more cohesive mix and then mastering that. You know, I want to do more deep dives in on everything. But that's like the real quick rundown of like some free plugins, some gems that, you know, are out there that don't cost a whole lot of money, and then just, you know, what I do routinely to go in and when I go and, you know, put my patterns in for drums or for melodies, if I'm working with a sample or whatever, I'm throwing sound effects in. This is how I mix it. This is how I master the beat when it's pretty much done. You know, a few tips here and there that you guys can kind of take into account. And, you know, this, again, more of the same. Just EQ it, EQ the frequency. I never leave these how they are. You know, it's always, you're always kind of, it's just a default preset and you go and you move it around as to where it needs to be for that beat. But everything I'm doing here is, I mean, pretty spot on to what I do every single time I kind of make a beat, mixing wise, and it's you know, still obviously a work in progress, but it's got me a pretty nice and cohesive sound, and I hope that it helps y'all out more with, you know, mixing stuff, mastering, getting started, whatever you're doing. So that's probably going to end it for this stream for right now. I'm only gonna do an hour for right now. I'm gonna be back on streaming later tonight. And, you know, doing more vocal mix and stuff. I think more Beatpromoters guys will be on tonight as well. That way we'll be able to, you know, chill out. Maybe do so. I'll probably do a live Cookup tonight. That's probably what I'll do. And then after that, I will go into the vocal mixing video and kind of break down what I do for vocal mixing and for mixing songs and whatnot.